What's up, everybody? Welcome to John Versus episode 10. Joining me this week, you might recognize him as one of the hosts of Welcome to Primetime, the hitman himself, Hunter Chambless. How you doing today, sir?
How's it going, John? Thank you for having me on. Super excited to see and talk about this interesting film, to say the least.
We only save the interesting films for John Versus. It's the theme of the show. Without spoiling what we're talking about this week, though I'm sure people who clicked on this video know exactly what we're talking about. What are your general thoughts on this idea?
So, the idea of the movie, I think, is very interesting. I wish they would have taken a more, how do I explain this in a way that makes sense? They took the idea of this film and really went with it instead of going the traditional slasher route with it. I wish they would have delved more into the fairy tale aspect of it, which could have made it really fun. But overall, it's really generic and kind of just paying by the numbers. I think some of the acting is decent for the quality of the film, but overall, they could have done more with the source material.
Yeah. I went back into the Jagged Edge catalog of ways. This film is now officially 3 years old. This is Jack and Jill, or The Legend of Jack and Jill, depending on where you accidentally stumble across this film.
A woman called Kelly Jane Fleming escaped from a nearby psychiatric asylum. She gave birth to twins.
You've got to go up that hill.
Why is he after us?
No, go!
Some say she died during her escape, but her children survived. And they were rumored to live on the hills overlooking a valley.
This is just a trail to nothing. Please stay away.
Hello? Are you okay? I'm just here to help.
That's some kind of notice board.
So all these people have gone missing in Gilmore Pass? Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Danny? Put that thing down!
Did you hear anything? Something isn't right here.
We can protect ourselves.
I just want to go home.
Jack and Jill.
Honestly, it's always the trailers are always hit or miss, and I think given the film, this trailer is actually pretty good.
Very decent trailer.
Like, this trailer could sucker you into watching this film. But let's start right at the top with one. Just before we even get into the actual plot of the movie, one problem I have from the beginning is it starts with the scene with like their origin story, I guess, for lack of a better word, where the mother is running away from a mental hospital employee. She somehow has two fully grown children, so she raised these children to like
in the insane asylum.
Yeah, she raised these kids. They're not like kindergartners; they're like third, fourth graders age in an insane asylum, and then orchestrated an escape where all three of them and a bucket escape from the mental hospital. And when she's conversing with the kids, they're talking back to her.
Jack, Jill, I love you. I love you more than anything.
What's going on? Why is he after us?
In English. And they're normal-looking children, right? When we fast forward to these same two characters 15 years later, they speak incredibly crazy broken English, and they're deformed.
Mother escaped the evil of the world below into the mountains and hills. She escaped to freedom.
Yeah. So what happened during this whole time? Like, you start from speaking perfect English to grunting noises like 15 or 20 years later.
Yeah, like they forgot everything. Like they're like, "Mama, what should we do?" And then later on in the movie, it's like, "The man went to." It's like okay, calm down. Yeah, like they leave that whole thing out. Like if the kids were like, if this was, the funny thing is, this reminds me kind of, and forgive me if you haven't seen this exact movie, the second Wrong Turn movie, where like there were two, it was an inbred mutant family, but there were two twin children in that family. So they went from like normal kids to the kids from that movie grown up somehow.
Yeah, exactly. And there's an easy way for them to fix this. Don't have the kids talk at the beginning.
Right.
And then cut to 20 years later. And then, of course, they're still trying to learn how to talk. Use the insane asylum ways that, they didn't have basic education in the insane asylum. So they're trying to work around their broken English. That's kind of basic writing. Like, you can't have kids talk normal and then jump, 20 years later and they don't know how to speak.
And then they just have like, and they're like, you see them in the beginning, you see them in the trailer, you see the kids in the beginning of the trailer. They are normal kids. Like they're not deformed kids. They're not ugly kids. They're normal looking kids. No. And there's never any explanation like why they look like the Hills Have Eyes B team. 15 years in the future.
Exactly. I mean, if you want to try to say, okay, them being out in the wilderness, they've been fighting their entire lives. Okay, you can explain it away by like, all right, some animal attacks or whatever caused their face to be deformed. Show us or tell us at least, like, show it in the script why these characters are the way they are.
Another thing, and you saw it in the trailer too, is the comedic amount of people that are missing.
It's like 10 people.
It's like it's like a notice board that's like 15 pages deep of missing posters.
Yeah, whoa.
Huh?
What's that?
That's some kind of notice board.
So all these people have gone missing in Gilmore Pass?
Is that a lot?
This isn't the Andes, Dan. It's a lot.
Yet, and it's just two people in a park. It's like a national park, right? So it's not like a huge expansive area. It's all around this one hill and this one lake. So all these people went missing, and people that went searching for them also go missing. But the authorities never, ever,
no cops anywhere to be seen.
And there's clearly tourism there because the main characters talk about how they rented the house there. So clearly somebody owns the house there. It's not Jack and Jill. They don't own that house. No. But like somebody owns a house that they're renting to people and clearly making money on it. Right?
Yeah, so like all these people go missing and all of a sudden there's no one's trying to close down that park. I know it's a national park, but when people go missing, they try to do something about it and try to cut off some trails or whatever to make it safer to reopen. You don't do that. The cops are nowhere to be found by any stretch of the imagination. Again, it's basic scripts. Like, stuff is missing from the script. And I don't know if it's someone who just had this great idea of a Jack and Jill horror movie and wasn't really a writer and went to try to tell the script. That's probably what it is.
These people are writers, believe me.
Yeah, exactly. But just give me something to attach to. And that's the thing. Our main characters, I actually think, are pretty decent. They're pretty.
I agree with that.
And the main girl does have a really good story about her boyfriend passed away, going through, on this trip to kind of, this, friend's vacation type thing. But which is good because I do care about her. The rest of the group, I don't.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Basically, what I would say is, two things. One, also on the theme of like, why hasn't this park been shut down? This park is not like, it's not Central Park. It's not adjacent to like a major metropolitan center. You're clearly in the country. For once in a Jagged Edge film, we're in the countryside. They are driving out there. So that means that everybody that's gone out there has driven out there Jack and Jill are not capable of driving a car. So there must be like
No.
dozens of abandoned cars on the edge of this park. Aside from that, I did skip, like we have the cold open with their origin story. Then it leads to a second cold open where one girl who is a journalist is going out there in search of, she's heard that there's like animal attacks or like there's something going on there. So they send this 20-something-year-old girl out there by herself to explore where people are clearly dying.
This is Janie Flanman reporting. I'm just about to head into the mountains now. The time has just gone 3 p.m.
And she's like,
That's
I'm gonna get this story. Like, that's, I mean, I'm used to people in horror movies making bad decisions. Don't get me wrong. I understand it. That is the worst decision I've ever seen. And of course she gets killed.
Yeah, obviously she gets killed. It's just like no one in these type of movies can make smart decisions because it's, I don't know why using a low budget as an excuse to make your characters idiots is a thing, because you can have the worst budget ever and still give us a great script. And if you do that, I'm going to be invested more in these characters. The main girl, I love her backstory. That's a good main character. Her friends, I don't care about. And that's just like, okay, they get killed early on. We don't get to see their graphic kills. So that's another big thing until the end where we finally do get some pretty decent gore. But I just don't care about these characters at the end.
Yeah, well, I'm going to circle back to the gore because I do have some issues with it. Just as it's so inconsistent. But like the one thing about the characters themselves is like, I think they went a little too far. I mean, it's weird that they actually put this much forethought into the movie to begin with. Like, we're going to give them this backstory. It is the most depressing, soul-sucking backstory I've ever heard. Like, everyone in this everyone who is a not Jack and Jill in this movie is attached to somebody who has died or is attached to somebody who is missing.
I am so sorry. I should have been there for you.
So, like, the next two people we see get killed are the sisters of the girl that gets killed in the cold open. And they're just out there trying to find their lost sister. We're given like 5 minutes of screen time with them, and it's just depressing, and they just get killed.
Our sister went missing in this area a little while ago. You haven't seen her, have you?
And then you have the 5 friends who are there mourning a dead friend, and everyone's crying. And there's like all this weird sexual tension, and everyone's apologizing to each other and getting into. There's never a happy moment.
He was my best friend, Eden.
They don't have one happy moment. So the fact that they're never optimistic, they're not even killed. These characters are euthanized throughout the course of this movie. Like, they're depressing characters. The story is fine. I don't care about them. I mean, Jack and Jill did these kids a favor.
100% they did. So going off of that, it is a very depressing story. That's probably why I didn't get attached as much as I wanted to, because I like slow burn horror movies. I like depressing horror movies like, Hereditary, Midsommar. Those are very serious, depressing movies. But I care about the characters, and there is some lively, jokes thrown in there to make it not so depressing. You don't have that in this film.
Should we wake her?
No, let her rest.
Should we wake the boys?
Can you see them wanting to walk to a village at 7 a.m? Maybe not.
But also, there are some really weird character decisions. Like this one guy, I don't remember his name, the friend of the main girl, tries to sleep with the main girl, like right after her boyfriend passed away. And I'm like, dude, that's completely the wrong time.
I know whenever a girl is crying and clearly missing her boyfriend, I'm gonna shoot my shot. Like, I'm just gonna do it.
Go for it.
I really blew it for you, didn't I?
You didn't, honey.
What the hell are you doing?
Yeah, that's Danny, and he's Danny in Spider. He's also Danny in Spider in the Attic. Good old Danny.
I've never seen that movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it's just another Jagged Edge movie. And then the other guy who's knowledgeable of the local area, Greg, though his knowledge of the local area never leads them to want to leave that area.
No, of course not. Because we have to have a film.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the one strength, I guess, well, aside from the fact that the story is like it seemed like when they were storyboarding it, they had a pretty good idea. Like I didn't totally shit on this movie in my review. It's out of the Jagged Edge spectrum, which is very narrow. Where it's at the high end of that spectrum. So the story is like a decent idea at least. And you mentioned the gore. Now their blood budget on this, because usually in Jagged Edge movies, there's a lot of bloodless kills or very little blood. But in this movie, they kind of do. There's people getting impaled. There's people getting stabbed. There's blood. The script supervision around how wounded these characters are is horrible.
Completely inconsistent.
Yeah. Like the one dude, Greg, gets impaled. Like, he gets shot with an arrow. Right? Mm-hmm. And then he also gets stabbed. Yet whenever you
he's still talking.
Yeah, and then whenever you see him later on, because he's like he gets like his second wind, he fires up. Mm-hmm. You know, he has blood smeared across his washboard abs with no wounds, and he's been stabbed and shot with an arrow. It's just blood on the tongue.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, come on, prop department. Like, or someone have a hole right there. Like, it's not that hard. And I don't understand why these movies keep, happening, because obviously they're not making that much money to begin with. But also, like, again, if you have a low budget, that's fine. Tell me a decent story and I'll be hooked in. If you can't even do that, I'm not going to be interested in any of the kills you have at the end of the film.
And also, like, let's talk about Jack and Jill for a second. Like, it's not like I've seen other Jagged Edge adjacent movies where people are just run through by the craziest killers, and the killers are the antagonists are never even in any danger. Like they just slice through everybody, and then maybe there's some kind of miracle at the end where like one person gets away. Mm-hmm. But in this movie, like there's a scene where they beat the living shit out of Jack. Like they hit him over the head with his pail, the pail of water from the nursery. They hit him with it 12 times. And you think he's done. You think he's done to the point like his sister is acting like Jill's acting like he's dead, whatever. And then he reappears with like not a scratch on him.
Like at the end of the film, nothing.
And I have to give a special, like, I see you and you're not clever. Ripping off the ending of Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning was not necessary in killing Eden. Like, just kill her. You don't have to do the same exact kill.
Yeah.
In a more established movie. It was this. I mean, it wasn't a chainsaw, granted, but it was the same exact kill from the same exact angle. And it's like, we see you, do your own thing. We don't care.
Yeah. And like, again, the idea of like Jack and Jill as killers, that's interesting. But make it supernatural in a way that makes sense. Make it, go off of the nursery rhyme and use really cool aspects on it, especially if you have a low budget, because that's where you can have fun.
And they actually did try to do that, because there's that scene where like after Jill thinks Jack is dead or mortally wounded, and she's like chasing Eden, and Eden puts the gate in between them, and she starts reciting the nursery rhyme to her.
Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after.
And then giving her advice based on the nursery rhyme, as if these kids that grew up in a mental institution that just
are going to know about Jack and Jill.
Yeah, know about Jack and Jill. I don't think they're familiar. with the act. And here's the it's such a weird writing crafting decision because it's like. Are you saying the nursery rhyme doesn't exist in this universe and like these two are the origin of it? Because if that's true, there's no way these people would know the nursery rhyme. Or are you saying it's a big coincidence? And if that's the case, how the hell would Jack and Jill know the nursery rhyme? Like, what are you talking
Exactly.
about?
And going on IMDb, it says a horror retelling of the nursery rhyme Jack and Jill. So this is supposed to be the characters Jack and Jill from the nursery rhyme. So
That's why they have the pail.
Yeah, so again, you brought up, how are they supposed to know the nursery rhyme if the nursery rhyme hasn't happened yet? If Jack and Jill are
because
still
nobody fell down a hill. There's no well. Like there's lots of things missing if this is the nursery rhyme. They never get water. Jack never falls down a hill. Jill doesn't fall down the hill. Like none of that happens.
Not gonna lie, the movie would get bonus points for me if they somehow pushed Jack off a hill. And he died.
Yeah, if he fell down a hill and like split his head open or something, I'd be like, oh shit. And then they also have to never have mentioned the nursery rhyme. If you like ended with the nursery rhyme, or like this, or if this took place, if it didn't take place in modern day, if it was like an old school British mental asylum, and this took place in like the 30s or something, it would make total sense. But they don't do anything.
And that would be a way to have fun with it, because then you could be like, have Jack get killed by someone pushing him down the hill, he breaks his neck at the bottom, and then you have kind of the go back to the mental institution, and you have someone reciting the horror story of Jack and Jill. That would have been a great way to tie it in all together.
Or even if he just falls down the hill and doesn't die, but he sustains a head injury, and that's why he's psychotic. Like, listen, we're available to look at your scripts. We can fix this. Like
we are, we can.
Yeah. If you're gonna go, exactly, you're 100% right. If everyone knows this nursery rhyme, everyone knows it. Like, go off of it. Like, have them go up a hill, right? Have there be a well. Have there be an accident where Jack gets hurt. Have Jill nurse him back to health. But now Jack's deranged. Even if Jack was just deranged and Jill was like his caretaker, like but like she can't stop him because he's like so homicidal from his traumatic brain injury. Way better story.
Way better, and even to the point where you can sympathize with a character like Jill if she's, as you said, his caregiver, and then he starts getting deranged because of the head injury. Maybe Jill has to then kill Jack, and that's the horror twist of this nursery rhyme, is that brother and sister have to turn on each other.
That would be good too, but then they wouldn't be able to make the sequel and the third part, which is coming out this year.
Wait, what? There's three of these?
There's going to be three. There's two. We're covering the next one next week, and a third one is coming out this year.
Why?
So this is because Jagged Edge can't leave well enough alone. That's why we're gonna have like 5 Winnie the Pooh movies and 5 Bambi movies and 5 Peter Pan movies.
Bambi sounds amazing. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna see it, and we're definitely gonna cover it. Maybe even on Why We Love Horror. I don't even know, but we're definitely gonna cover it somewhere here. I think the other point that we already touched on that's like a weird choice for a horror movie is like, I don't mind in a horror movie if all the characters die. I don't care. It happens much more recently than it used to happen.
Especially in this franchise right here.
Yeah, right there. Yes. I don't mind if everybody, actually, usually there's at least one survivor in the Friday the 13th. But like,
yeah.
I don't mind if you kill everybody like they're doing in this movie. But like, if you're going to kill everybody, like you have to like be raining on a parade. Like you have to be like, there has to be like I have to really feel a sense of loss when you're going to kill a character. You killed the saddest group of people I've ever seen. And also I noticed in one of the reviews of this movie, like they never make it clear like what time of year it is. Like they make it seem like it's winter, but they're all hiking in summer clothes like the entire time.
Yeah. So again, I don't mind, as you said, if everyone dies at the end. But again, I want to care about these characters. That way, when someone does die, it affects me because I'm watching the movie and I want to put myself in these people's positions. Again, I don't care about any of these people. They don't give me a reason to care. They don't give me a reason. Most of them don't even have backstories. Like, most of them, I don't even know what they're doing here, who this person is, and they're a friend of the main girl. Okay, but give them their own side characters. Give them their own side stuff to do. That way when the ending happens, I feel more elated that the main girl survives and then gut wrenched when she dies.
Exactly. Like, I think the example I'll always go back to is Eden Lake is a movie where the two main characters die, but it's freaking tragic and brutal because they just got engaged and like these kids are just like ruthless. In this movie, like, I don't care. Another thing is, and I think you could probably shed some light on it. They're out in the country, and I know you live in Arkansas, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so like I guarantee if you go like 5 miles out of your town, there's just big fields somewhere, right?
Oh yeah.
If you're out there with your friends, how does sound carries pretty far, doesn't it?
Yeah, depending on how far the distance is. Yeah.
Do you think that if somebody was getting murdered and screaming on the other side of the field, you'd be able to hear them?
100%.
Yeah. Why can nobody hear the screams in this movie? They're in basically they're in the middle of nowhere. They're screaming so loud and no one here, like somebody will get screaming and taken away. And those like, where did they go? You didn't hear that scream?
Dude, the sisters of the girl who goes missing, one of them gets killed like right next to the other sister, and she does not hear anything until she walks over and sees the body.
Right. It's like, I'm going to just chalk up to the list of things that Jagged Edge producers do not understand how sound travels in a lowly populated area. I'm not going to say that'll be the drinking game, but that could be a good one. Just like every time people don't hear anything,
you would get trashed if you do that.
But we did have, the Champ Louis Booze has asked us to prepare drinking games for every movie, so we did that. So let me just throw up his. Hunter, you're the guest. You can go first.
All right. So, guys, take a shot or take a drink every time Jack and Jill screams and says something you cannot understand.
That's a good one. Mine's even better. Take a shot or a drink every time one character apologizes to another character over something like benign. Like, they apologize so much in this movie. I'm surprised it doesn't take place in Canada. That's how much these characters
is this a Canadian film?
Yeah. Like, they're very clearly British, but they apologize like Canadians. They apologize for everything in this movie. It's like so many apologies.
Oh my God. Yeah, they apologize over everything. And like, I get it. You're trying to be supportive, but saying I'm sorry over and over and over again is not the same thing as being there for your friend.
Yeah, and it's like the premise of like going there. If you want a good movie about friends paying respect to a friend that died, David Bruckner's The Ritual is that you're not going to surpass that. This is like, oh, that seems like a good movie. Can we redo that and just make it horrible? Then you have this movie.
Pretty much. I would also say The Descent is a good one to watch.
The Descent, also a movie about a group of people trying to get over one of their friends is depressed because their family got killed in a car accident. The Descent does that perfectly. This is not The Descent either.
This is not.
The Descent, also a British movie. The Descent, also a British movie. This is not The Descent. Is there anything we mentioned about this movie that we missed that you wanted to mention before we wrap it up?
Not that I can think of. I mean, again, the premise is interesting, and I wish they would have gone more into the fairy tale aspect of Jack and Jill. We gave them so many good ideas. These are free, guys. Please just make a better movie next time. Take them. We don't care. Just do something with these, like, fairy tale movies. Like Pooh, Blood, and Honey. I don't like that premise, but they're trying something different. And the second one coming out, they're going to have actual, practical effects. They're going to look like the actual creatures. So I'm excited for that one. They're trying something different. This movie is not trying anything different.
I'm going to be shocked if, obviously they made money on Winnie the Pooh. We know they made money. So they're reinvesting that money back in their craft. If all of these movies was how they got traction to suddenly become a great movie studio, what a great story to tell. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm here for it if it does. I will change. I will apologize. I will retract everything I ever said. If suddenly Jagged Edge becomes like this leading edge, if they become like the A24.
A24, I was going to say that. Yeah.
If they become the A24 horror of Great Britain, I will eat this hat on camera.
All right, keep your word on that
being said, Hunter, we know you have your own channel. Where can we find you?
All right. Nerd Entertainment Network, where we do Welcome to Primetime. We have workhorse trivia and a lot of things. John is over there as well sometimes. We are going to bring back the brackets, John. So the start of the new year, the brackets are coming back with the 80s horror bracket. So stay tuned for that one. And we just uploaded our primetime horror awards, which were very fun, a great success. So thank you for having me on, John.
Not a problem. Hey, and if you like this, if you made it this far in the video, give me a like, a subscribe, comment, share. Go to the Facebook group, Why We Love Horror. Go to Hunter's Facebook group. He's got one too. And what is that Facebook? Is it the Nerd Entertainment Network?
Yes, Nerd Entertainment Network.
Nerd Entertainment Network. Subscribe to that. I'm on TikTok, WWL Horror. You'll find it, clips of this show, clips of all the other shows on there. This Thursday, myself, Abby, and Aaron, we're going to be talking about Destroy All Neighbors. It should be a good movie. We'll check that out. And this Friday, we're going to have 2 more matches up on Why We Love Horror Trivia. I think Hunter's going to be in one of those matches. So we'll be.
I am.
And then next Monday, come on back to John Versus again, because you know what? This movie has a sequel. Jack and Jill, The Hills of Hell. And we're going to be covering that next week. But thank you for tuning in to John Versus. We appreciate you.